Oh, cool.
Hey guys, I am here with Alex Morono. How are you doing today?
Man, good. It's Sunday. It's a day off, which is nice to recover. But some really good fights last night too. That was Uriah Hall and Anderson's fight card. Uriah Hall's a teammate of mine over in Dallas, and man, he did a very good job.
Yeah, I thought he was a little hesitant, but I found with a lot of people with who fight Anderson Silva, like they kind of look at like they're fighting a legend. So like, would you want to hit him yourself? You know what I mean? So what do you expect?
Yeah, he was super patient. I know Dana White had mentioned it too, but I mean Uriah did a good job, man. He knew he had a 5-round fight. That's something I saw the guys working in training, and took no damage, and then found his opportunity and was able to finish. He actually was able to do more damage than when Izzy fought him, which was a cool aspect. But also my boy Miles Johns, he opened up the fight card and hit a really nasty 3rd-round knockout as well. So then we went 2-0 last night. The whole fight card was awesome. A lot of guys from Texas fought. It was cool. It was fun to watch.
Yeah, I actually enjoyed the whole card. Actually, like Bryce Mitchell's had a great performance. I enjoyed it. So you obviously really enjoy watching the fights, even competing. So you're a big fan as well.
Yeah, that's actually what got me into training way back in the day. I mean, this was 15 years ago. In high school, we would get together and like play cards and watch like old Pride fights and UFC fights, and that's what piqued my interest. I started training. Lost a lot of weight, got in good shape, and then been pretty much training every single day since. Hang on,
no worries.
I got an awesome dog here, but he's barking.
So you fight it. Oh, hey, buddy. You fight Rhys McKee. I think that's how you pronounce it. I don't know if it's Rice or Rhys. Do you know much about him, or how's the preparation going for that?
I mean, yeah, I always study as much tape as I can, just kind of see what kind of style and body type we're in for. But thankfully the guy seems like a striker, so we'll get some good stand-up work in. It's the second fight in the UFC. He's young, he's coming off a loss, which I know is good motivation to train hard and really have a good legit fight camp. So I know he's going to be coming in hard and in good shape. But this is my 11th fight in the UFC, and I've learned UFC is a Shark Tank. I'm going to try to be a mean veteran in this fight and just take him to deep waters and try to do as much damage as possible within the 15 minutes.
Yeah, and like I just honestly watched an interview with him, and he said he was going to break you. I don't know if that meant your spirit, or like, did you see anything about him saying that?
Yeah, that was his interview with James Lynch, if I'm not mistaken. It was funny, my coach actually sent me that interview. He was like, hey, you watch this and you study it. My coach. And I almost wanted Rhys to say something like mean, just so I could have a little, I guess, more motivation to beat him up, which I don't think matters anyway. But he was actually pretty respectful, and I think he was just kind of saying like the cliche fighter stuff. But anytime I've ever lost, I've had to get like put away. I'm not one to break in fights. I actually really enjoy the hardship in fights. Like the fatigue, the hard mindset. I was never the most athletic guy coming up, but I always had a good mind for fighting, and I was always down to like fight to the death. Just engaging style, and there's no breaking to be done. If there's anything, it's gonna have to be like a hard stoppage, not a choice. If I ever have a choice, I'll never ever stop.
Absolutely. Yeah, I thought that was a little bit weird the way he said it when I was watching the interview. I just watched it like a couple hours ago, and it was weird, so I just don't see a breaking from him. So I don't know what he's talking about.
No, and this is his 3rd fight at welterweight. He hasn't been the distance in the UFC ever. I think he's got like 3 minutes of octagon time, and I have like 2.5 hours. And so I always plan on dragging guys deep. For whatever reason, my 3rd round is usually my strongest round. And so yeah, I really want to make this one mean and ugly and bloody and just try to push the dude's limits.
Get that fight of the night bonus.
Yeah, fight of the night's great. I got that once actually, man. I'm always looking for performance of the night. I don't want to. Fight of the night means it was competitive and back and forth. I don't want anything back and forth. I want to try my best on a super one-sided beating and hopefully get a knockout bonus. That's the goal. That's always the goal.
Absolutely. Now, it's going to be a little weird for you this time. So you fought, I think, at UFC 247 on the Jones card last.
Correct.
So you haven't fought yet without a crowd. How do you think that will affect you? And do you think that's going to make a difference in your performance?
Yeah, you know, when the UFC started doing the crowdless fights, I was found it very interesting, and I was really hoping I would be able to fight with no crowd just to see if there was any psychological differences. One thing I do like a lot of studying of like the mentality, the psychological effects, even like the physics behind MMA. And there's not a lot of like concrete studies out there, especially on like the different mentalities that fighters have. And again, man, I like hearing punches. I like seeing cuts and blood. You know, hearing my opponents breathing hard. You know, hearing myself breathe hard. Hearing coaches say. There have been a couple times in local fights where like my fighters will like cut somebody open, and they'll be like in top half guard or top guard, and I'll like say things to hopefully get in their opponent's head. You know, like, you know, this he's cut open really bad. This is the worst cut I've ever seen. The ref's gonna stop the fight, just to see if it plays like a different, you know, a different tune in the opponent's head. So no, I'm really looking forward to hearing everything, feeling everything. You know, it was a big takeaway I had from my last fight because it was a quick loss. Is, you know, like, why do I train so hard and do so much and sacrifice so much? And it's and I do it not for money, not for fame, not for anything. I do it to like feel like the life experience. And Justin Gaethje said it well. You know, I do it to feel alive. So I really want to really, you know, probe into every aspect, both physically and mentally and emotionally in this next fight, and really see what I can learn about myself and about other fighters.
So I've heard you say Justin Gaethje twice. Is that someone you've looked up to, or you really like that style, I guess?
You know what? No, Gaethje's the man. I honestly, man, I'm really, really big on Khabib. You know, probably my favorite fighter to watch. Just the way he like does things perfectly. You know, the way he implements his grappling. And
Yeah.
so, you know, I was like really invested in their last fight, and I just really appreciated one Gaethje's you know, ability to give him a challenge, but two, you know, when he lost, he was like, I feel alive, and that's why we're doing this. And I couldn't agree more. It was so simply put, but so direct. But no, honestly, my favorite division is by far the lightweight division. Like Poirier, Ferguson, Gaethje, and Khabib, but all just so much fun to watch. And, you know, it's cool they got Chandler in there now, but I kind of want to see him fight one of the guys, not for the belt, and then, you know, I'd like to see the UFC guys really reign supreme, and I think that's what's going to happen. I thought it was odd, you know, he got put in such a high esteemed position. Like when Will Brooks made it to the UFC, he didn't get, you know, a lot of special treatment, and he fought like, you know, like top 15 guys, but got beat pretty handily. You know, I think both are big Alex, what's his name? Big 6'7" guy. He's probably been like the best guy from Bellator, the heavyweight.
Oh,
Alexander Volkov. I think he's done the best of all the Bellator guys. But man, I just love the UFC. You know, lightweight division, and all those guys are so much fun to watch.
Oh, for sure. Eddie Alvarez also did well. He won the lightweight belt.
Yeah, but he's not in the UFC anymore, so there's a bit of an asterisk next to that one.
That's true. I talk to my buddies all the time. I even made a video on it. I thought Will Brooks was going to be the next big thing, and back in the day, like I thought he was going to be the lightweight champ. I don't know. I just thought he had the most potential. So. Yeah,
I was very surprised to see how he did in the UFC. You know, he's a good fighter still, but he had a tough run.
Absolutely. Was there someone that you would ever like to fight that you in your division that you've looked up to? I know you fought at welterweight and middleweight. Is there someone that you haven't got a fight yet that you would love to fight?
Yeah, so any of my middleweight fights were like local, and I took them on very short notice. I'm not the biggest welterweight, and I'm certainly not a big middleweight. So at welterweight, really, you know, really anyone, I say that all the time, but any like veteran like Robbie Lawler or Carlos Condit or Matt Brown, even Diego Sanchez or Donald Cerrone, just like if I could ever get matched up with like a true UFC veteran who's still kind of in the mix and just has like a lot of UFC experience behind him was cool. Like I fought Josh Burtman, and Burtman's the man, but he was never really that high like ranked as any of the guys I just mentioned. And he was, you know, on his way out pretty thoroughly. You know, when I fought Jordan Mean, which was cool, he was a vet, and even fighting Keita Nakamura was cool. But you know, really, Wilder's still in the mix. Any UFC veteran who's kind of like known for being a badass, like Matt Brown, especially, you know, Condit, Cerrone, Lawler.
I would love that.
Really fun.
I think that Condit fight sounds perfect.
Yeah, he did a good job against Court McKee.
Yeah.
But he had a tough run himself before he got that win.
Yeah, like 5 years without a win, 5 losses, pretty crazy.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that they don't cut people as much as they used to after so many losses. I remember when the Dan Hardy lost 4 in a row and they kept him on the roster. That was a big deal.
Yeah, I think it depends how much UFC credit they have. Like I know Cub Swanson was on a 4-fight skid, and he won his 5th against Crone, which was a big fight. So Cub Swanson is actually fighting Daniel Pineda. I don't know if you know who Daniel Pineda is, but I've been saying this forever. He's the best fighter out of Houston, and especially now in his more veteran years, the dude is a problem, man. He's got super dangerous striking and like ridiculously effective and mean MMA grappling. I think that's a great matchup for Pineda. I think it's a fight he wins pretty handily. And then after that, he beats Herbert Burns, he beats Cub Swanson. Maybe he gets the top 10 guy. That'd be cool to see.
Absolutely. Houston's actually came up with a lot of good fighters lately too.
Yeah. The card yesterday, there were a couple guys from Houston, but there were like 7 or 8 guys from Texas all around. And that was really cool too.
Absolutely. And then you got Derek Lewis eating that Popeye's chicken there, right?
Dude, Derek Lewis is Houston's crown jewel. He's by far the most achieved and successful MMA fighter to ever come out of Houston. He's probably my favorite heavyweight to watch, man. I remember seeing him fight on the local scene back in the day, and he was equally as entertaining. But now he's like a little more outspoken. But yeah, I always got a lot of love for Derek Lewis.
Absolutely. Just a couple more questions. Who is someone that you looked up to when you were getting into it? Since you're a big fan too, so like I looked up to like Vanderlei Silva back in the day. Was there someone that really got you into MMA?
Man, yeah, I can give you a whole list. I'll tell you what got me hooked. I'll never forget. I was like a sophomore in high school, and my friend Eddie, I still hang out with him to this day. This is 15, 16 years later. He had a PSP, and he had a highlight video of Mirko Cro Cop head kicking guys, and that was like the first real exposure to MMA I ever had. And I watched the video, and I was like, "Whoa, man! Like people do this." And he was like, yeah. And then like less than a year later, I found a boxing gym and started training. They had a small jiu-jitsu program. I started doing that, and it was just been history ever since. But like the old Pride guys, like Fedor and Cro Cop especially, and even Big Nog, even Mark Coleman. I watched a lot of those Pride fights before I started watching the UFC fights. So, but Fedor, even when I was a little younger, I was a little heavier, and I kind of had like a not super threatening demeanor, and everyone called me Baby Fedor in Houston back in the day. So Fedor's always been one of my favorites.
Absolutely. He's arguably the GOAT of MMA to a lot of people. So, I got 2 more questions for you. My one question is, with all this talk, is Khabib or Jon Jones the GOAT from your standpoint?
So this one seems pretty clear cut. Like, a martial artist, it's not just about your fighting ability. It's about, it's just about, your character, how you can help, show the art to others. And Jon Jones is a monster of a fighter. There's probably going to be no other light heavyweight, or even we'll see heavyweight better. But in terms of just like, being a role model and a martial artist, Khabib is like very loyal to his parents. I know there's a lot of different religions out there. He's a very like devout religious man with good discipline. He's been doing martial arts his whole life. He's never lost a fight ever. I think Khabib's a clear winner. And then, sure, Jon Jones has a lot more title defenses, but Khabib never, ever lost a fight. Now, granted, I know Jon Jones, when he beat Matt Hamill, got DQ'd, and that elbow didn't even really make a difference, but still, that was still a mistake. Khabib's not made those mistakes. And then you also got to bring in all the drug tests that failed, whether it was like blatant PED usage or not. Khabib still never made those mistakes. So, even though the mistakes were minor and small in terms of the record differences, the 29-0 speaks volumes as opposed to what's Jon Jones 22, 23-1?
1 right now.
Okay, but he's got that one. I mean, even the no contest, Khabib has a perfect record. I think that's what sets him aside. Absolutely.
And then you got to throw GSP and Demetrius. There's just so many right now. It's still a young sport too. So that's what people don't understand there's going to be many GOATs to come.
Yeah, but even then, I don't think DJ or GSP had over 30 wins. You know, they were in the 20s,
Yeah.
I think the high 20s. But dude, they have those losses, and like I'm not talking. You know, I got losses myself. And these guys were awesome champs, but they did have those losses, and Khabib just has never had a loss. Dude, even if you fight 29 cans, which he didn't, still going undefeated like that is so impossibly hard to do. No one else has done it before. You know, Izzy's coming up there. What's Izzy? 20-0, 20 something or 0?
You know,
I think 20-0, man. He's up there, but dude, he's fighting Jan. Dude, I don't if you remember watching Jan fight Jacare, and even Luke Rockhold, dude, his frame is big. He's gonna be big for Adesanya. That's gonna be a tough fight.
I just think he might be a little too slow for Izzy.
Yeah. I mean, but dude, he's got that power. He's got that hard hitting, one hitting power, man. That's gonna be tough to deal with.
Yeah, absolutely. Before we end these things, could I get a prediction, or do you want to throw a prediction for your final? Are we going to get a finish this next couple of weeks?
Yeah, you know, a lot of fighters have like a bunch of stigmas on like, oh, I don't want to predict him. I give the same answer no matter what every time. I'm always looking for a knockout, but I don't ever like planning the rounds. I always plan for a third round knockout. So if it goes past the first or second, everything's going according to plan. But I want like an ugly, hard, nasty fight that I'm looking to hopefully finish anytime, ideally in the third round, and always by knockout no matter who I fight.
Perfect. It was great having you on the show today.
Cool, my man. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Let's stop it.